Hey, what's up, guys? This is Jason. That's Neil.
Yo, what's
Oh, I
up?
pointed. I pointed the wrong way. That's Neil over
Oh,
there. We wanted to put out a video talking about our changes to our podcast update format on YouTube. So obviously, we announced it in season one or season five, episode one of this year, like 2 weekends ago. We also announced it at the very last episode of season four. But I think a couple people forgot about it because when I was MIA last week and Neil uploaded the podcast clips, there was a lot of commotion in the comments. A lot of people were, I don't know what the correct emotion is. Some people were, I wouldn't say they're upset. Some people were probably disappointed. Some people were confused. Some people didn't like it. Some people were okay with it. But we thought it was important to come out here and just talk about it because there was enough comments across all those different clips about people talking about it that we thought we'd explain why the change was made and potentially some changes we're going to make to try to bridge the gap between what you guys want and what our goals are. So I'll let Neil take over just for a minute and then I'll jump back in a second.
yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. We did say it twice in the past, so it was a little bit frustrating that we're still getting questions about it, but understandable because the first time we mentioned it was 3 months ago, and the second time was, maybe you didn't catch that episode, so I totally understand.
Totally.
And we didn't make a standalone statement or video about this, and that's what this is. So apologize that we didn't do that maybe in advance, but uh, we listen. We definitely listen. Like, we hear your comments, we hear your frustrations. We know that maybe there's people out there who don't listen to podcasts that are audio only, and they're really banking on that idea of having the full video length podcast on YouTube, and that's something that we've provided since late 2017 or maybe early 2018. Even though that was never the intention of the podcast, it was always supposed to be just audio only, and video was just an added bonus that we kind of threw in there because we could.
Mm-hmm.
And when we made the transition to this channel, having a specific standalone podcast channel, I really like that decision. I like having it being its own identity. I think that's really cool. But from a growth perspective, it doesn't make sense. We were hoping that it might work, but it didn't. And we did grow a little bit. We're just under 2,000 subscribers, but still, we were hoping for a little bit more than that. And we know why. YouTube does not promote or recommend an hour and a half long podcast video. It's not topical. There's 75 topics in the title. YouTube recognizes that, and they're not going to recommend it because it's just gibberish. It's just there's so much in that laundry. There's so many shirts and stuff in that laundry. You just can't we can't pick out one. So we switched to topical videos, cutting out the full length on YouTube. And last week, or I guess the Sunday that was, I guess this week was our first experiment there. So we released, I believe, at least 5 topical videos or standalone videos based on what we were actually talking about. So
Six.
6. We talked about Pierre-Luc Dubois. That got its own highlight video. So our theory was that the channel would get more views and, more importantly, more growth and more subscribers if we did it that way. And well, we were right. We It didn't grow as much as we thought it would, but it's the first week. But the views are like it's a night and day. We added them up, um, adding all of the standalone highlight videos that were released in the past 48 hours. Those have more views, which are all from the same podcast, but all those videos have more views than the previous entire 4 podcasts that came before that, the standalone videos. So our theory was right there. People are being recommended these individual videos. Maybe they're not subscribing. Maybe they don't like what we say, or maybe they just forget to hit subscribe. But the point is that they're seeing those individual videos. YouTube is recommending them out there, and that will eventually lead to growth. So we're happy about that, but we totally understand your frustrations, and we're going to try and bridge the gap, like Jason says. So, Jason, why don't you lead us into our updated plan, I guess.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna try, people, because I will say this: Neil will 110% agree with me. When we post a video, especially him, but when we post a podcast video, and then the next day we go back to check on it and read the comments, we see the same names every time, like loyal viewers, loyal listeners. Every time you can count on them watching it, and it sucks when they're disappointed when we make a change that doesn't work in their favor or it's something that they don't like because we do appreciate those people. Like I could just start naming names and it'd just be random people on YouTube. I don't know who they are, but I know their names and I know what they say, and I'm sure Neil could do it 100 times over. So we don't like it when people get disappointed with changes we do, but we think this is an important change to make for the reasons that Neil said. It just leads to more growth. So here's the plan. We are going to go back to, in a way, uploading the entire podcast on YouTube, but we're still going to clip it. So the last Sunday's episode that I wasn't in, the total podcast length was 66 minutes. Neil clipped out 59 minutes of it. So they, on average, I say about 7 to 8 minutes of stuff from that podcast that people on YouTube didn't see. And I think maybe that was the reason a lot of people were upset, because they weren't seeing the intro kind of barter between us. Because sometimes, like I was talking to Neil before the podcast, like we don't always jump into the podcast and talk about hockey. Sometimes we talk about what we did or what we're whatever, like, and people do appreciate that, because that's, you get to see a personal side of us that some people like. Maybe some people don't, but I know some people do. And I think some people don't like missing that on YouTube. Like they're only getting the chunks and they're out of order and stuff like that. So what we're going to try for this weekend coming up is we're going to upload the entire podcast that's split into chunks, but it's in order. So the very first episode that we put out, and we're going to put them all out at the same time. We'll wait till they're all uploaded and we'll publish them all at the same time. The very first episode, or the part that we upload, is just going to be the intro and the babble, if there is any. So it's just going to be the welcome music plays like you're used to. It'll be Neil and I talking, and Brent, if Brent's there too. And then once we jump into the first topic, that's going to be a second video. And then each video after that will be named just like the highlight videos were, what they're talking about. And then it will end with whatever the last topic is. Will also include the outro, because the outros are usually just pretty short, and Neil will give an update on the channel. And if people are watching a video, let's say on the Toronto Maple Leafs, say that's the last thing we talk about, and then we go into the intro or the outro, they're probably done watching that video anyway. They can close it. But for you that want to listen to the whole podcast, then you can just listen to that final clip, and it includes it in it. So what we're going to do is, after all those clips are uploaded, we're going to put them into a playlist and call that playlist the name of the podcast. So when we upload it, all these videos, it'll be in its own playlist. You can click on any one of those videos, go into the description, click on the playlist, and you'll actually be able to watch the entire podcast start to finish. And it will be exactly the same as if it was one hour long video, except for after each topic that's split, it's just going to reload your page or reload your app or load the next video. And we're just going to keep on talking as if we never stopped. So there's not going to be like a break. There's not going to be music playing. It's not going to be like a fade in. It's just going to continue on just as if you're watching the whole thing. And I think that will give virtually the same experience as you're used to. Like if you click on that very first playlist video and let it go, say there's 7 of them, if you play all 7 in a row, and it, like, you're not having to exit out after the first video and click on the next one. It's just going to play automatically because it's part of a playlist. So virtually to you on the other end of the screen, it should just play the whole thing in a row. But at the same time, it gives us those sub clicks that generate more clicks and help the YouTube algorithm. So I think that's a happy medium. Like I talked to Neil about it. There are some disadvantages maybe for us about publishing everything at once rather than spreading it out over the whole week. But I think in terms of the listener point of view, this gives you guys the best experience. So we're going to try it and see how it works. And you guys can give us your feedback and we'll check the numbers and all that. And that's the plan going forward as of right now.
Yeah, and just to clarify, every single playlist that we create is going to be the individual episode that is released. So there's not going to be one big giant podcast playlist, and you're going to finish one podcast and it's going to go on to the next one. Each playlist is going to be its own podcast. Yeah. So season 5, episode 2, which was one that just released, that'll be in its own playlist. The next episode will be its own playlist. So on and so forth.
And depending on how many different topics we talk about, that's how many videos will be in that playlist. But from your point of view, or from the listener or the watcher's point of view, it shouldn't matter. As soon as you click on the very first video of that playlist, it should just autoplay right until you get to the very end, and then you're done. And from your point of view, it should be virtually identical. There might be a little bit of delay between how quickly whatever you're using switches to the next video, but it should be virtually the same.
Yeah, and if you maybe don't see the playlist and you get a notification for maybe the third highlight video that we upload, you can watch that if you want. You can still watch the individual videos if you don't want to watch the whole thing. But if you click on an episode and it doesn't start auto-playing, then you can just go to our profile, hit the playlist button, and just click on the episode and it'll play from start to finish. So it kind of hopefully satisfies both parties and helps us at the same time. It's going to be a little bit of a disadvantage, like Jason said, uploading them all at once. But we're listening. We know you're frustrated, and we're trying to do the best of both worlds, if that makes sense.
We this is something like I've just thought about. Like when you search for our videos, I don't think you can find the podcast videos. Like I literally don't think there's anything. If you are not subscribed to our channel, if you're not subscribed to Neil's channel, if you're just a random Joe and you started typing stuff but didn't include post to post in it, I think you would have a very, very hard time trying to find one of our videos on the podcast channel.
Yep.
I would say that less than 20, and that's probably a high number of the viewers on the podcast found us on their own. It's probably much lower than that. I would say
Absolutely.
every viewer came from the post to post channel. So it's just when we upload those big long videos, it's impossible to grow externally, like without just bringing in or feeding people from the post to post channel. So it's just, I think this really does bridge the gap of letting everybody watch the entire thing start to finish while also having specifically titled videos about specific topics that just anyone can find, especially if it's something that's like trendy, like maybe something big happens and we talk about it. That video will for sure be found if people are looking for it. And it just gives, an opportunity for more growth there, which is kind of what we're trying, but we don't want to upset the current people as well. So it's a balancing act, but I think this moves us in the right direction that should hopefully make people feel a little bit better.
Yeah, totally. And the first episode of this season that we uploaded, well, I guess not this weekend, but last weekend, that currently has 2,086 views. The specific Pierre-Luc Dubois video that we uploaded yesterday, the day before, already has 2,882. So that one standalone video has more views than the entire podcast that we released. So this is a hobby, but it takes a significant amount of time to prep for the podcast, to film the podcast, to edit the podcast.
It's not is a lot of work.
It's not a job, but it is at the same time. So we kind of have to treat this like a business because we want it to become a business in a way. We want to see it grow. We want to be able to take some income that the podcast makes and upgrade equipment and make things better. And
that's how much the podcast has made so far. Zero.
We didn't make enough all last season to get a payout on YouTube. So it was under $100 basically all of last season. So it just goes to show you that it doesn't make a lot of money, but we're hoping this change obviously brings more income. We like to upgrade the mixer and maybe get Jason a nice camera there that he can use and all that stuff. So we have plans, but it'll take some time. And we appreciate your patience. That's like we listen to your frustrations. We know you're upset about a couple of things, but we listen to you. You guys are awesome. You guys are, like Jason said, same names every week there in the comments. We really love you guys. We appreciate the feedback, and we'll do our best to listen.
We wouldn't do it if you guys weren't watching.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
You guys are why we're here. It's just, it's nice to try to expand on what you have. Like, and I'm definitely appreciative for what we have. If we have 2,000 views on that last video, like to Neil, this is nothing, but to a Joe Blow like me, if I took 2,000 people in a room and put them right here, and I'm talking in front of them, and they all want to listen to me, that's crazy to me. That 2,000 people want to listen to me talk. In terms of YouTube, it's not that great, really. But for me, it's like, okay, that's pretty humbling or pretty weird that many people want to talk. So it's just.
Yeah, I still feel like that. I get you.
Yeah, like we want to keep the people that we have happy. Like obviously, like those are the people that get this thing going. Really, they're the reason that we keep doing it. But we also just want to have a way where we can bring more people in. And I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I just think this is a way that we can bridge the gap where we're kind of do what we're trying to do while also making it so if YouTube is your preferred platform to consume our podcast, you're not missing out on anything. You shouldn't be at a disadvantage necessarily because you watch on YouTube. And we kind of didn't realize that before. And hopefully this works, and this is what we can use going forward. Like I said, we'll evaluate it, and you guys can leave comments in this video saying what you think. But I really do think this kind of bridges the gap and gets us both, towards the goals of what we want out of this product, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a little update from a COVID situation, or from a COVID scenario. We've entered red phase as
not good.
Starting tonight at midnight. So what we thought would be hopefully a short-term solution to film the podcast digitally like we are now, likely for 3 or 4 weeks. We're on week 2 now, and it's only getting worse. So there's a very good chance that the podcast for the next 6 weeks probably is going to be filmed just like this, just like we're doing now, which Sucks quality wise, but it's the best we can do, and we got to stay safe. So got to listen to the rules.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all
about
the
all we
update.
needed to say, I think.
Yeah. If you have anything other suggestions, please let us know. We're always trying to improve and make things better. We're going to. I don't know if Jason, we didn't talk about this, but when you film the podcast or when you edit the podcast, are you going to put titles on the video? When you know how you used to do it when
The bar on the
it
bottom,
changed
I
topics?
probably will.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Yeah.
I mean, we
You
can
don't
talk
have
about it
to.
after,
Just-
but
yeah.
yeah, if you're
It's
going
a
to
lot
look
of
after
work.
the titling and stuff, we'd have to be make sure we're in sync of what we want to call the clips and stuff. But that's
Yeah,
something
I'm
to
just-
figure out. That's a minor thing. But yeah, we'll probably still have the bar on the bottom.
Because if we cut the video and then the next one starts and there's not really any intro or card or anything like that, and it just goes to us talking, and there's nothing on the screen to tell anyone what it is other than the title that's on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
It might be nice
No,
to have a graphic up there, but that's
we
more
should
that's
have
way more
something.
work for you.
No, that's fine. And it also helps people when they click on a video, they know because it shows the episode number and the date, so they know what they're watching and whether it's relevant or not.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll just have a little thing that just pops up real quick, like an animated thing that just says, maybe this is like video 3 of 6, it'll say watch this in its entirety by clicking on the playlist in the description. And then
Yep.
people know.
Yep, sounds good. All right, well that's all I got.
That's all we got. We'll see you
All right.
this coming Sunday.
Heck yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for your patience, and yeah, we appreciate you. Adios.
Oh, you can leave that last audio out of there. Peace.